Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. It's been no secret that I am a massive fan of what Luke Fickell, this Wisconsin program, is doing in the 2025 class, and they land another massive commitment coming from three-star edge rusher Nicolas Clayton, a guy that we've talked extensively about during the summer as really one of my favorite prospects in the 2025 class. And kind of a wild last 24 hours for Nicolas Clayton. It sounded like he was going to be committing to Florida State. Something falls through in the last 12 hours, ends up committing to Wisconsin. Where I'll start is this is a perfect fit for this Wisconsin program. You look at what Luke Fickell did and why he had so much success at Cincinnati. It was with these kind of kids who have a really, really high upside, aren't necessarily finished products yet, but you get them into the program, you continue to put weight on them, and you kind of look at year 2, year 3, year 4. That is where Nicolas Clayton is going to be extremely successful, and this is how Luke Fickell wants to run this Wisconsin program. Again, give me the premier athletes. We'll make them good football players. It worked for him at Cincinnati. I think it's going to work for him at Wisconsin. Really intriguing edge rusher. Fired up to get into it. Before we do, and as always, just want to say thank you to you guys and to the Wisconsin fans. It's been a blast covering this program on the recruiting trail over the last couple of weeks. And for all of you guys who have been showing a ton of support in the middle of June with recruiting episodes, can't thank you guys enough. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into Nicolas Clayton. Again, three-star edge rusher from the state of Florida, 6'4.5", 205 pounds. I mean, the length that this kid has, it's special. I mean, there are a lot of tools that you like, and I'll even say this, diving into the junior year film, he looks a little bigger than just 205 pounds, and he looks like he has a frame that you can routinely get him up to 240, 250 pounds with the frame that he has. And I think what makes Nicolas Clayton kind of one of my favorite prospects in this 2025 class is not only does he have that ideal frame with some really long arms that he can get to work with, I think the first step off the line of scrimmage, the juice that he has testing offensive tackles from an athletic standpoint, that's really what fires me up about Nicolas Clayton. You kind of dive into the athletic profile, has a track and field background that shows up on the film. The first step is truly devastating for offensive linemen. And I'll just kind of throw out this before we get into the film. Kind of reminds me of a kid that Luke Fickell had a lot of success with at Cincinnati in Mijai Sanders, right? He's from the state of Florida, kind of an underdeveloped, under the radar kind of edge rusher from the state of Florida, comes to Cincinnati, and in 2 to 3 years became one of the best pass rushers in all of college football. If you are Luke Fickell, if you're a Wisconsin fan, you're kind of hoping for that same kind of track record with the guy Nicolas Clayton, who, again, the measurables, the kind of player these two kids are, very, very similar. You get into the film and you just say the athleticism, it's special with Nicolas Clayton, right? And I think that when you start coupling the frame, you just don't see many defensive linemen with this kind of frame have the juice that he does coming off the edge, right? I mean, a really, really good first step. The flexibility, the ability to beat offensive linemen with just elite athleticism, that's kind of what kind of stands out. And you continue to work through the film and say, I mean, the bend, you're going to see him kind of just ghost this offensive lineman, dip right beneath the hands, and then run the arc, go get the quarterback. It's a special kind of athlete in terms of the juice off the line of scrimmage, the flexibility that he has. He wins so routinely with that first step. He's such a hard defensive lineman for offensive linemen to just get hands on. He gets off blocks extremely well, and again, has all that length to really get to work with. You think he can use it a little bit more. Working on the inside there, again, just testing offensive linemen with that first step, staying low, getting behind the line of scrimmage, a guy that when he is behind the line of scrimmage is an athletic enough guy to make a lot of those plays. So he's not only disrupting, but he's going out and making plays, chasing down ball carriers. I mean, this is a guy that, again, he can be an athlete in space. You can do a lot of different things with someone like Nicolas Clayton. I view this kid as just a big ball of clay, and you can kind of mold him into being an elite edge rusher at the collegiate level. I told Florida State fans I was a really big fan of this kid, and I think Wisconsin's getting a gem here. And you take a look at what Wisconsin's doing in the 2025 class, and I think what stands out to me the most, sitting with the top 12 class in the country right now, they're recruiting nationally, right? Wisconsin's going to recruit their own state. They're going to recruit the Midwest at a high level, but you look at some of the top commitments that Wisconsin has. Mason Posa, the #1 player from the state of New Mexico, 4-star linebacker coming to Madison. You look at Logan Powell, Phoenix, Arizona, one of the top offensive tackles in the class coming to Wisconsin. You scroll down the list and say, we're going everywhere to build this roster for Wisconsin. They've had a lot of success in the state of Florida over the last 2 cycles as well. I'm a really big fan of what Luke Fickell is doing and how he's constructing this roster, balancing using the transfer portal, but we're also going to recruit the high school ranks. And you look at the recipe in terms of building a college football roster, that's exactly how you want it to look. Hey, we all trust what Luke Fickell can do in terms of building a winning culture, the player development. I think the question was, can he recruit at Wisconsin at a high enough level to reach the upper echelon of the Big Ten? That's why I think they brought Luke Fickell in. They wanted to take that step as a program, and from a talent acquisition standpoint, you kind of see them making the moves. And it's not always going to look the same as a program like Ohio State. They're going to do it their own way, but I am a big fan of just the kind of players and the kind of bodies, these high upside developmental prospects that 2 to 3 years down the road, they could be really good football players for Wisconsin. And we trust Luke Fickell to build great football players. He's one of the best player developers that we see across the country. Another massive win for Wisconsin. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. Again, if y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later.